Aloha everyone, Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. Solid session overall for the market on Monday. The Russell 2000 led the way higher, S&P 500 higher, NASDAQ higher. Everything was pretty good. The only problem is that volume was well below average, but it still was slightly higher on the day overall. So good session. We still have, as you can see on this chart right here, multiple resistance levels, 50-day moving average, this resistance line, multiple support levels, 200-day moving average, this line here, and even if you want to do a solid line sideways from right here, you even have a straight line there. So just a lot of support and resistance zones that we're still in between. Still a range bound market, nothing more, nothing less. I wouldn't look too much into it. So moving right along, want to go over the end of day sell signals first. BPMC is pretty clear cut. Closed below the 50-day moving average on above average volume in red bop. I was shaken out of this thing a long time ago thanks to Interactive Brokers. The long signal, where was it? All the way back here. So today's move below the average still gives you a 200% plus gain. The stock has never closed below the 200-day moving average. That will be the final cut loss level. So let's say tomorrow there's a heavier volume close on above average volume below this low and this low and this low. It still will not be a 100% sell signal because the stock is up over 150%. So the 200-day moving average becomes the final line in the sand. But like I said, been knocked out a long time ago due to some issues with Interactive Brokers stop loss mechanisms. This was one of the 4 stocks that got triggered and knocked me out. But anyway, intraday I would have been knocked out completely here as it is. So this is just an end of day tracking position. But if you're still long, half of your stops go here. Whatever you have left, maybe put here, here, and then your final stop, no matter what, would be here, or the 200-day dynamic moving average. The other 50% sell signal, RIBT, pretty clear cut, very extreme negative price velocity, closing at the low of the day, below the 20-day moving average. Even though volume isn't heavier, volume was heavier yesterday leading into the session, so the 2-day volume clearly shows a trend higher as it rolls over, and more importantly, it lost its green bop catalyst. So 50% sell signal, moving half of my stops to today's low of day. Then I will have half here because that's still above that, right? Yep. So then 25% will be at 150 and the final 25% will be at 143. Half will be at 154. And then high quality end of day 100% sell signals, NKTR. I was completely knocked out this day. It is now a 100% full sell signal, closing below the 50-day moving average on above average volume. If you still have some shares left, you could have a final stop here, but make sure you also have half here. So put half of your stops remaining here, put the final half here. Maybe you want to even sell half at the market, put 25% here and 25% there. Either way, this day right here, I was not completely out, so I am out of NKTR. And MSB, the long signal was back here. Completely knocked me out here, but I added it back around here, some small size, been completely knocked out now today. So from the original long position, there's still a small, it's only a small loss of -2%, but since I was farting around and adding it back up here and everything, I took a much larger loss than I wanted to on this one, but still small overall. If you are still long MSB, your final stop loss, no matter what, needs to be right here. But what I would do, since it's just so far below all the previous support zones, just like I said on NKTR, I'd probably sell 50% at the market here if I was still long, and then put my final stop right there. But either way, MSB, NKTR, full sell signals, BPMC, and RIBT, 50% end of day sell signals. And guess what? That's it. Pretty darn good on an up session. There were some weak names overall, but only 2 partial sell signals, 2 full sell signals, and now these 3 new long positions. Not bad. So let's go over them. HSII, this one, as you can see, 3 pocket pivot point signals in the past 6 sessions. HSII was flagged in my CAN Slim scan, confirmed in my green bop for the past 20-day scan, and price volume bop surge scan. So 1% for CAN Slim, 0.5% for each additional scan, 2% of my account capital should be going to HSII, but HSII, even though it's triggering a pocket pivot point signal on telechart, it's slightly extended from the 20-day moving average by 1 cent and extended from the 10-day moving average, and even so the 200-day moving average, even more so I should say, the 200-day moving average. So HSII has to be cut in half. So 1% of my account capital into HSII, limit order 3175. First cut loss level right there, 30.05. Final cut loss level right there, 28.75. Now, as always, with any stock I go long, I'm looking at anywhere from the entire previous measured move, 80% here, to at least part of the measure move, 20% here. So I'm looking for anywhere from a 20 to 80% gain. And if you just use my first recommended cut loss level, you've got a 5% risk. And for that 20% gain, that's greater than 4 to 1. For the 80% gain, that's greater than 20 to 1. So this is why I take a trade like HSII. But I like how BOP stayed green during this recent market. I like how it's trending higher. I like the pocket pivot point signals and accumulation. And I like the chart. I've been noticing this chart ever since here in my Cancelim scan. Ever since here in my Cancelim scan. Every once in a while it shows up my price volume BOP surge scan. So no matter what, it had to be a long signal with it making all these scans today. And then the actual highest quality signal, it was basically the third one I found or decided on, is TTGT. Now TTGT is a Cancelim quality stock and a perfect speculator quality stock. I initially was going to pass on it because BOP has fallen from the session before, but this thing then showed up in my price volume BOP surge scan, and so for a third time when going through it, every time I landed on this chart, I stopped and paused. Normally this is how I go through stock charts whenever I'm scanning. This is what it looks like. So you're seeing in real time what it looks like when I go through a stock. And if something looks good, it makes me pause. TTGT did that 3 times. So when it did it for the third time, I decided I got to go long since it's Cancelim quality, perfect speculator quality. It's closing higher than where it opened. It's not extended from its 20-day moving average. I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I'm getting long TTGT. Limit order 1975, the high of the day. First cut loss level right there, 1916. Final cut loss level where it loses that green BOP right there at 1852. Pretty clear cut, but Cancelim quality 1%, add 1.5 in the perfect speculator. Also in the price volume BOP surge, 2% of my account capital into TTGT. Let's say everything goes wrong. I risk about 6%. Just based on this previous measure move, though, I'm looking at a potential 100% gain. And let's just use this most recent closer move, 30% gain. Once again, we have that over 4 to 1 potential reward to risk ratio. And then the final long signal, CARG. This one came in my IPO scan. This is where it was first noticed by me in that IPO scan. I can't open up the bar. I wanted to open up the bar a bit. There we go. We'll just do that. I'm just going to be playing around too much if I don't stop now, so I'll stop now. So CARG, this originally was signaled in my IPO scan. I noticed it because BOP's been growing each of the past 4 sessions, well above average volume. And if I use these lows right here, which is my green BOP lows, it's pretty clear cut. I get long, 33.22, the high of the day, and I cut my loss with a move below 31.50. CARG was confirmed in my daily volume surge scan. This is a scan that looks at the stocks that have the biggest volume surge relative to the previous volume in the history of their trading. So as you can see, there's a few stocks in here, and one of them, whenever I get back to it, right there, was CARG. So it made that scan, and then obviously made my price volume BOP surge scan. So 1% for the IPO scan, 0.5 for the one volume surge scan, another 0.5 for the other, 2% of my account capital, like I said, 33.22, final cut loss 31.50. And since a lot of people haven't been watching these video lessons, I'm going to go ahead and post 2 of the speculative long positions that could also be considered higher quality. VNCE, this is going to be a speculative long position, but you can see if it was closer to its 52-week high, this thing would easily make my perfect speculator scan based on the previous 100% move. But if you look at the April highs, it's still more than 20% off the old highs. But the past few months, what a powerful move, and a pocket pivot, back-to-back pocket pivot point signals off the 50-day moving average. Pretty noticeable to me. And then RYAM chemical stock, once again, a pretty big move from its lows to its highs for a chemical stock, over 50%. Risking only about 3% if I'm wrong. I got to take this trade, but you can see all the green bot, all the accumulation, the pocket pivot point signals, the ascending base. So pretty good here too. But VNCE, limit order at 9. First cut loss level here, final cut loss level there. I don't have the numbers written down. RYAM 2132 limit order. First cut loss, you could do here, 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 or you could do half here, half here. It's up to you, but there's multiple levels to work with on RYAM. All right, everyone. I will see you in the chat room on Tuesday. Some pretty good long positions. Market looks okay, but not great. We're still range bound.